Welcome everyone, whether you're tuning in from around the world or here in Canada as well. It is evening where I'm at. I'm not sure where you guys are, but welcome in. We have another amazing workshop for you. We went from Hyperledger in the morning, and this evening we are talking about Ethereum. And we're diving deeper. We've done a couple workshops already on Ethereum, but now we're getting very specific, and we're talking about listening to Solidity events. And again, we have our resident expert on Ethereum, Antoine, with us, and we're going to jump into the workshop in just a sec. But as usual, I like to get to know our speaker a little bit better. And this is not Antoine's first time on the cast, so you guys probably know a little bit about him already. So I think we're going to talk about some greater like ecosystem kind of thoughts, a little bit about the general blockchain space. But how are you doing, Antoine?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, so I just wanted to do this workshop because me and a lot of people others in the past, when we were learning Ethereum, learning how to read events and how to get events seemed to be a sticking point, and there weren't a lot of tutorials out there. When I was first starting, there were really none. Now it's better, but still, it's worth. I felt it was worth doing this tutorial just to teach people how to get their apps to read events properly. And it's the kind of thing, once you know how to do it, it becomes quite easy. But the hard part is knowing how to do it. So here we are. We're just going to show you how to get it up and running. And yeah, it's about the main point of this exercise.
Sweet. Yeah, before we jump into the workshop, let's talk a bit about blockchain in general. So I'm sure you've probably heard of like the 4-year cycle theory, and also like this concept of the flippening, when Ethereum may or may not end up being the big kahuna, as it were, as it for the all the time that crypto's been a thing. Bitcoin's been leading the pack, and there's been this like building rumor that the flippening's coming and Ethereum's going to take the top spot. So what are your thoughts on like the cycles that we go through in blockchain and this concept of the flippening?
Well, there's always cycles. I'm not sure if it's every 4 years exactly, but you always see cycles of hype and peaks and troughs. I mean, it's natural to any like really revolutionary technology. You see what happened with the internet and everything. Yeah, if you're building, I mean, don't get dissuaded if you're in the trough period. In fact, I welcome the low periods because it's a quiet time where you can just keep on building, and it's time which you can use to get ahead, while all the people who care about nothing more than the profit and the money that they might get out of it, they're only coming in during the peak times. In the trough times, all the builders and the people working on the technology, that's when they keep their heads down and work away and get ahead of the rest of the pack. And then once the peak times come again, you'll be way ahead of all the other people who just come in just to try and ride the roller coaster. So
Yeah.
I really welcome the trough periods. I wish they would last longer sometimes.
I think you bring up a really great point, and I wonder. I think it's like a chicken. What comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, where I say roughly 4 years just because of like the 4-year lengthening cycle kind of theory. But I wonder what actually fuels it. If it's some say it's driven by the Bitcoin halving, which is baked in scarcity, which increases the value based on supply and demand rules, or if it's more so kind of like what you're saying during these trough periods. We have the builders that are going crazy building the next wave of technology, and kind of like 4 years ago was a big the big emergence of Ethereum and smart contracts and the ICO boom, which drove it was a technological innovation that drove a new wave. And so if we're playing with the idea of the technological innovation being the instigator as opposed to built-in scarcity, what would you say is the next wave of technology that's going to bring in a new wave of attention?
Well, I mean, what if you're saying that the last one was ICOs, which it wasn't really just ICOs. It was kind of like that was a very visible, emergent, sort of aspect of all of the technology that was available in 2017. First of all, I don't even think that cycles happen every 4 years per se. Like before 2017, there was a big peak in 2014. I guess that was 3 years. And then before that, it was like 2012. Before that, it was like 2011. So they seem to be, if anything, they're more spaced out over time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They're lengthening cycles, but like what's the next tech like thing to be looking forward to? What's the new innovation that's going to drive people to come back to the space?
honestly, it's really hard to say. Like, I don't think there's going to be a single one that I'm personally able to predict.
What are you most excited about?
What I see happening is the emergence of many different blockchain technologies and experimentation with different systems and blockchains and consensus mechanisms and smart contracts and all kinds of different things. And what I see happening is like a vast invention of many new things, and we won't know what's best, by the way. Like, how could we? When the internet started and there was a boom of all these different websites, people were making all kinds of different websites for different reasons. And they all looked different. There was very little standardization as there is today. So before we get like massive apps with, like half the world or the whole world as users, will have an explosion of various competing blockchains and blockchain apps. And it'll just be a very confusing period very exciting period with many options available. And there'll be 10 ways to do the same thing, and nobody will have the same journey. And people will just be using whatever comes to hand. And sometimes it'll come down to a choice of just, which design you like best, because there's no way to know for sure which system is the most efficient, because like we don't even have the metrics in place yet to decide that. So what I'm saying is that I'm predicting a Cambrian explosion. If you don't know what a Cambrian explosion is, look it up. It's a period in evolution when many different types of species evolved. And then after the Cambrian explosion, there may be consolidation and like a die-off, and it'll be like survival of the fittest. But before that, there's going to be a huge explosion in diversity of blockchains and blockchain apps. And that's why it's really hard for me to predict what the next single best upcoming technology is, because I think there'll just be so many variety of different things coming up.
Awesome. I like the sound of that, like an explosion of innovation, an explosion of new projects in the space.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. All right. So I think we're going to jump into the workshop. I hope everybody is as excited as I am. We're going to jump into it in just a sec, but before that, I want to draw your attention down to the bottom of the screen. We have the Ask a Question button, so you guys can ask Antoine questions as we're going through the workshop if anything comes up. And if you see a question there that you really need answering, give it an upvote, and we'll make sure we get to the most important questions for you immediately. Just beside the Ask a Question button is a polls button, and we have some questions out there for you. I want to know, have you been tuning into our Ethereum content? 100% of folks that are here have been tuning in. We want to know, have you written Ethereum events before, or have you tried listening to Ethereum events before? 100% of the folks here have tried already. And most folks say it's super easy. So this is going to be for the folks that tune in later on that are having a hard time with learning events and implementing them in their apps. And we'll take a look at this poll a little bit later on before we finish. Okay. Also, I want to remind you guys, if you are enjoying this content and if you want to be kept up to date as we're putting out workshops and talks, go ahead and give us a follow. There should be a follow button. I think I'm pointing up in the right direction. There should be a follow button somewhere up there. Give us a follow, and you'll get notifications as we put things out. Also, take a look at our resource hub just below my head right here. There'll be links to all our other education software, our Discord, and there'll be a schedule to see what events are coming up down the line. Okay, that's enough for me. I'm going to welcome to the cast Antoine de Vuyst. He's one of the founding members of BDU and the lead architect of DevCash, the Bounty platform. He's also one of the founding members of Bitcoin Bay, and a dear friend of mine. And he's a blockchain developer and mentor for this hackathon. So I'd like everyone help me give a nice digital round of applause for Antoine as he takes over the cast.
Yeah, cool. So I see someone mentioned in the poll that they didn't have trouble listening to Solidity events. I wonder who that is. I guess it's easier now because there's a lot of tutorials out there. When Ethereum first came out, it was kind of very tricky to do that. At least in my experience and a lot of others that I've talked to. But I guess the tutorials out there now make it easier to do that, and also just to interact with Ethereum in general. But yeah, so since there's not a lot of people in the room today, it's an opportunity for any of you, if you want to take advantage of this time, you can really sort of like ask me all of any sticking points that you have, any problems that you personally may be experiencing. Yeah, you can. I'll be able to answer all your personal questions. So okay. I'm just going to go through just like a quick overview of Solidity events, and then we'll just get straight to how to program JavaScript app that is able to detect events, listen to them. So first, what are events? So let me share my screen. Okay. So Solidity events are really just logging outputs. So it's just a way to log any sort of data in the smart contract, so that basically the smart contract data can be read from the outside. It's a very cheap way to output data that is readable from the outside of the smart contract. Throwing an event is actually far cheaper than storing information on a smart contract. So if you just want to log a value, but you don't want to manipulate it, you don't want to change it, then it's much cheaper just to throw an event rather than to actually store the data in the smart contract. So an event in Solidity just looks like this. Quite simple. You just type the keyword event and then the name of the event, and then all the parameters of the event. And you can put any parameters you like. And yeah, I mean, I'm good. Like to deep into it. There's some other sort of information about events that you can read about. But in terms of practical usage,
Hey, Anton, can you just zoom in on your screen?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do for this for today's workshop is we're not going to write our own smart contract or anything. We're actually just going to pull some smart contracts from apps that exist on Ethereum and just try to read events on them. So here's a list of very popular smart contracts on Ethereum. Mostly exchanges. But so I thought it'd be interesting for this workshop to look at this contract here. And this contract is called Smart Wave Forsage and scam. It's basically a Ponzi scheme where you get people to invest underneath you, send F, and you make money off of any money that they bring in more people. So you basically make money by bringing more people into the smart contract. So if we go to the address here, we can see that there's the contract code here. So we could just literally copy this and take it and play with it. So on Etherscan, always shows you, or it should, like, people can upload the contract of Etherscan. So let's just copy this. What we can do is go to remix.ethereum.org, and then just dump it into a new file. So I'm just going to make another one. Smart Way Forsage.sol. So I'll paste it here. You can inspect the contract a little bit. There's a contract called Smart Matrix Forsage. Now I haven't actually gone and read the whole contract, so I don't understand exactly how it works. But we only care about the events right now. So is this big enough? You guys can see? Should be, right?
Yeah, it looks all right for me. But yeah, maybe.
Okay,
yeah, that looks good.
Okay, so here we're in Remix. We just Control F for the word event. You can see there's basically 6 events here. So these events are all, they're emitted. Events are emitted when certain things happen. So let's say a user registers, then there's a registration event. The registration event basically gives you the user, the referrer, the user ID, and the referrer ID. I mean, it's good to study the smart contracts. I in no way condone using this, but it's good to understand it to see how a decentralized Ponzi scheme might work, and a successful one no less. So we can see that basically we're going to look and read the events off this contract and see that there's actually a lot of activity going on in real time, like people are using it as we speak. So, all right, let's see. Registration. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this registration event. Let's starting from this contract, let's make a Node.js script that will be able to read events as they happen in real time. So, well, first of all, let's do a little bit of digging and see what happens when this registration event gets fired, just for understanding a little bit more. So registration. Okay. So there's this function called registration. So I'm assuming that this function is called by an address when they want to register on the smart contract. So a bunch of stuff happens here. They save some information into the smart contract, and then at the end there's a thing here called emit registration. So when you're programming a smart contract, this is how you fire off events. You type emit, and then you type the name of the event and all the values that go into it. So this is where the event is fired, right? So, okay, now we know a little bit about that. We know that the event is fired after you call the registration contract. let's do something. Let's take this whole. Okay, so let's take this contract and compile it in Remix. So just compile that. If anyone wants to follow, what I did was I just went to fgasstation.info. I went to the contract address, and I went to contract here, and then just copied it. And yeah, that's where I put into Remix. So what we're going to need out of this is we're going to need the ABI. So before we get to that, let's just, what we can do is we can make a new script. So create a new directory, and inside the directory, just make a new script. So we can do like event reader.js.
Are you making this directory on your local machine? Because we don't see your screen right now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just 1 second. My bad. 1 second. I have to share. Okay, I'm just going to share my whole screen right now. All right, so what I did was I created a new just a JS file, right? Nothing more. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a script that's able to read events. So just have a little bit of a cheat sheet here. So okay, first thing is we're going to use ethers. Okay, so we're going to just import ethers. So now we just want to essentially connect to the contract. That's the trickiest part of this. So once we connect to the contract, we can read events. So let's just define a contract here. We can just go let contract address, let contract ABI, and let contract. And we want to create a function. This is called read registrations. And let's just connect the contract. So first we need the address, the ABI, and the contract. So the ABI comes from Remix. We have the contract here, we compiled it, and we can just get the ABI right here. Copy ABI to clipboard. So put the ABI in there, contract ABI, and then the contract address. Is coming from here. So this is the smart way / contract address. And so we got the contract address and the API. We're going to want to define a provider. So for this, you have to actually go to Ethereum and get a provider. I'll just assume, for the sake of the workshop, that you're familiar with that. If you're not, you can come to me and ask me how to do it. But so basically, I just define a provider. I have my Ethereum provider here. You have to get an Ethereum provider or some other provider. You used to be able to just do ethers.get default provider, but some of the people are using that. It's just unreliable right now. So, okay. Now we just want to connect the contract. So we just go contract equals new ethers.contract, then contract address, contract ABI, and provider. So that's correct, right? Yeah. Capital C. And then, yeah, so just gonna copy this here. Okay, so first we're just gonna console log this just so we know what's going on. So it's gonna say listening to registration events, right? And this is, it's very simple here. So I'll just type it out just to make it more understandable. You got to do just contract on, and then you have to do the name of the event. So as we see here, the name of the event is registration, and then you have to sort of specify all of the different parameters as well. So we'll just put that in registration, and then so you just have to put, yeah. Yeah, the syntax can be a little tricky. I don't have it memorized, so just referring to my previous code here. So just user refer user ID and referrer ID. Then just event, which is just an object that represents event data. And then, yeah. So inside here, we can just basically log all the event into our app. So what we're going to do is just log that the registration has been detected. So basically, whenever a registration event is detected, it's just going to say a registration event has been detected. Registration event has been detected. And then we're going to log all the event information that comes out. So I'm going to say that the user is this, the referrer is this, the user ID is this, and the referrer ID is this. So but then we can log any of the event information that comes out as well. Sorry, the information about the event. So we do things like event.block number, log the block number of the event. Yeah. So yeah, all right. Let's see if this works. We have the contract address and the ABI. We connected to the contract here. We connected to the provider here. And yeah, let's see if that works. So just go like node event reader.js. Maybe an error or two somewhere. Okay, what did I do wrong? Oh, extra bracket. And missing bracket. Yeah. Oh, sorry. You have to actually call the function, the read registrations function. So read registrations. So now it says it's listening to registration events, and we'll just see, like, just wait a couple minutes. There's bound to be one coming in through. If it doesn't, we have to fix something in the app, in the script, because this is just such a popular contract that there's just events happening all the time. New registrations, people losing money to the scam. Very unfortunate, but at least we're learning about the scam and we're educating ourselves about the dangers of decentralized scams. I mean,
Go register, Antoine, and show us that your event is listening.
yeah, just give it a second. I did have it working on my other script, so we can just try that, and maybe if I got something wrong, then we'll know. But yeah, we might have to wait a couple minutes. To be honest, I don't even know if I get a single, yeah, anyways. So that is like, this is a script that listens to events. For actually, if you connect this code up to like an HTML app, it makes it easier to play around with, because you can play around with it in the console. And I can show you that.
Can you
sorry,
show
in
us?
the web console, rather, not the console, the web console. If we played around with it in the web console, it lets you see all of the, like, the JavaScript objects, the contract object, the provider object, and other objects like that more easily. Sorry, your question?
Can you
There we
show
go.
us?
So there's an event right here. Registration has been detected. User was this address. The referrer was this address. User ID and referrer ID. So someone just registered on the smart contract as we were speaking. Yes.
Very cool. I was just gonna ask, like, while we were waiting, if we could look at like historic events that have been tracked from this contract to just like
Right.
dissect what it was going to look like.
So we were going to get to that. So this is how to listen to events in real time. You just kind of just use this contract.on method from Ethers.js. If you want to actually see a lot of different events, yeah, it gets a little bit more complicated. There's another event right there. But yeah, it's once you know how, you know how. So the way to do that is to use the get logs function. So let's just let's see. So let's make another function here called async function get logs. And yeah, that is the next piece of this tutorial is how to get logs. And when you get logs, you can get historic logs of all the events that happened. Now, to do that, you actually have to specify which area of the blockchain you're looking into, because the blockchain is very, very long. There's a lot of blocks. It's maybe close to 1 million blocks in Ethereum right now. Let's see. How many blocks are there in Ethereum right now? Oh, we're a block. Oh, sorry. I was completely wrong. It's way more than 1 million blocks. More than 10 million. Yeah, sorry, not 1 million, 10 million blocks. And we have actually surpassed, what's the block number? Block height, sorry. We've actually surpassed 10 million blocks. We're at block 11 million right now. So that means that there have been 11 million blocks. And so when you write a little JavaScript program like this, it doesn't work very well if it has to search through 10 million blocks. So you actually have to specify which blocks, like a range of blocks that you want to look through. So we'll just type in from block, let from block, and I mean, this is more due to the limitations of JavaScript more than anything. think anyways. So anyways, from block and to block. So all right, let's look at the, let's go back to the smart wave forsage contract. So smart wave forsage. Take a little look at when this contract was deployed. So this contract was deployed 269 days ago at block 9,391,000. So we'll start with that as our from block. And our to block, we'll just make it like, what's the latest block? Latest block would be 11,134,000. So call it like 115 million or 12 million. All right. So now we want to get the logs. And all right, this is going to be a very large amount of logs. To be honest, it might be too many. So instead of 12 million, let's make this 10 million. So only does log 9.3 million all the way to 10 million. So how to get logs? Well, yeah, it gets a little bit more complicated, but yeah, let's look at the Ether's documentation on how to get logs. And then we'll just use that as the guide. 5 documentation. Sometimes I find that V3 has better examples. So we'll just open that just in case. Okay. So provider.getLogs returns an array of logs matching the filter. So what we have to do is set up a filter that matches the event that we want to look for. So let's find out how to make that filter. Log filter. So a log filter is an object representing a contract log filter, which has the optional properties address. So you can basically filter for all the events that you want. So let's find that filter there. Okay, so let's make a filter. Filter. Filter equals. So address. We want the address to be the contract address. We only want to filter events from that address. And then there's this thing called topics. And the topic is just basically a hash of the name of the event and the name of all the parameters. So we'll look at this. The name of the event is called registration, and the parameters are, well, the parameter types rather, are address, uint, and uint. So let's just copy this over here. So take the topic. We need to do utils.id to convert it into the right type of hash, and then name of the event, and then all the parameter types. So here's our event right here. Just comment it out, just so we have it, so we can refer to it. So we want to put, let's make sure I'm doing it right. Yeah, okay. Registration. then address, address, uint, uint. We can see here we have address, address, uint, and uint. Those are the 4 types. Now we just going to want to console.log that filter, that topic, right, just to make sure that the topic is correct. What we're going to do is compare the topic that we have. So we're just going to put like this, topic equals and so this is very important. You have to get the topic correct. Otherwise, the filter isn't going to work, and it's not going to find the right events. So what you got to do is get this topic correct. Now, I mean, let's say we removed this and we didn't include the topic in the filter. Technically, it's going to grab all the events from this contract. So you just end up with all the events from the contract. Yeah. So let's just keep the topic there. Console log it. Okay, why don't we just yeah, let's just do get logs. See if it outputs the topic here, right? So node event reader.js. So this is the topic that it gives us. Okay, 0xd070, blah blah blah. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go and look at oh, let's see actually. Okay, so I want to see if I can find a registration event on Etherscan and see if the topic is equal to the one that I came up with. So let's look on Etherscan. This address did a registration event. You can see this is some new user, apparently, who seems to be using SmartWave Forstage. May lose money on it. Okay, so registration ext. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, so this guy did a registration here. That's one of the events that we detected. And let's look at the logs. Okay, registration, right? So this guy, you can see here on Etherscan, you can see the registration event. Now this is the topic that we're supposed to get. So we got the wrong topic. We made a mistake on the filter. And that's how you have to start reading events. You have to make sure you get the topic right before you get any further. So we're going to do that. I got the topic wrong somehow. The name of the event is called registration. Then we have an address, a uint, and a uint. Oh, I know what I did. I put uint instead of uint 256. So you can see this is sensitive to the exact type. I have to put uint 256, right? Now let's see if I get the right topic. Let's try again. Wait, that's the same as last time.
Yeah, you have to change the console log. You just changed the actual topic you used.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. Okay. Okay, 0x309bb, blah blah blah. And over here we have let's see, that's here actually, sorry. We have 0x309bb. So we do actually have the right topic, and so we put the exact name of the function with the exact parameter types, and we successfully got the correct topic ID. So now we can move to the next step. Yeah, we can compare this to the one that we have here, and it's the same. So that's good. So we know we have the right topic now. So we're filtering by address and topic. And that's all we really have to do for the filter. So the next step is, where did we go? Where did I put the provider? Okay, so the next step, get logged. So we have provider.on here. You can also apply the filter to provider.on as well.
I think we might have lost Antoine there. He's frozen. He probably is still coding and doesn't realize it yet. I'm gonna send him a little message. Hopefully he joins us back. Give me a second here. Okay, we're back. We're just gonna wait for Antoine to join back in. I think he's trying to connect now. Should see him jump back in a sec. Let's see what's going on with the polls. So most of you guys have watched our previous workshops on Ethereum. That's awesome. Still a couple of you are gonna go back and watch the replays. We've got some great material back there. We got some more information on people who have built apps listening to ETH events. So 20% have, and 80% came to this workshop to find out what an ETH event was. And it looks like Antoine is back. Antoine, we're just taking a look at the polls, and so there are some folks that that don't know what polls are or don't know what events are, and so that's why they came out. And 50% that have tried have had trouble. So this is great. This is specifically for them, and 50% haven't tried yet. So we encourage you now to follow through, follow along with this workshop. And if you came in a little bit later, it'll be up on our Crowdcast, so you can watch it later and go through. And Antoine's going to be in the Discord if you have any troubles.
And if you want to message me in the Discord, just message me. I'll help you out. Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to share your screen again and continue on? Sweet.
Share my screen. And so there's my screen. Okay, so where did we leave off? We have a function here called get logs. We created a filter to filter out all the logs, to find all the events that we want. So basically what it's going to do is when I do provider.getLogs, it's just going to go through the entire blockchain, right, and find all the events that match this contract address. And then it's going to find all the events that also match this event ID, which is, the event is called registration, and it has these 4 parameter types. So let's try and see if this works. Okay, so I called get logs here, so it should call the function. Okay, so reader.js. Give it a second. Did I read registrations? No. Okay. So it didn't find any events. It's kind of weird. Maybe there were none in that time frame. Let's try this. Well, let's try it. Okay, wait. Registration. We definitely had the right topic. I completely forgot to
You're not using the from block or the to block.
Yeah, so let me remind myself how to do that. Get logs. Yeah, sorry, I just haven't like memorized how to do this. So I just have to look it up sometimes. Yeah, it's just from block to block. So you've got to add that to the filter. Block. Block. To block. So let's try that. See what happens. Okay. Do I have these numbers right? Registration, address, uint. Oh, sorry,
the address, and does the order matter?
Yeah. Sorry? No, the order doesn't matter. No, I just got them. It's lowercase from blocking, lowercase to block. So, see. Okay, so something happened here. Let's see what error we got. Unhandled promise warning, response error. So we got something.
Do you need to await the return from the async function?
Yeah, but it's not an async function here. This is just part of the Node.js script. Oh, yeah, I have the await here. Okay, wait. Let's try something. Let's try increasing the range. Okay. Yeah, I gotta figure out what I did wrong, but sometimes things just go wrong. I've done this like dozens of times, but missing response. Logs.length. Yeah, it's with private object log, right? Yeah, get logs and then the filter. Array of logs matching the filter. Oh, okay. I think maybe we just need to, I don't know, we'll try this. Try putting big numbers here. Let's see if that makes a difference. Invalid block type. Okay. I guess that's not it. Just give me a second. Okay, so Not quite sure what I did wrong here. But get logs. Anyways, the point is it's supposed to return an array of all of the event logs that match the filter. So
Are you calling the function get logs that you define, or are you calling the function get logs from the
this get logs
provider?
is part of the provider object. So yeah, it's just provider.getLogs. So I think, how does it go again? Yeah, I just want to test something. Ethers require ethers. Ethers dot ethers dot big number. Ethers dot big number. So ethers dot big number. Okay. Oh, just do that. Start big number. I have to do that. Turn it into a big number. So let's try. Oh, oops. Okay, it looks like something like, no. Hmm? Invalid block tag. This doesn't like the big numbers either. Let's try going from 10 to 11 million. Yeah, to be honest, this should work, but sometimes there's finicky things. Like sometimes there's a problem with the provider. I've had that issue before. It may be that, I'm not sure. Make sure the contract address is correct. The topic was correct, I believe. Is there anything else we need in the filter? I don't think so. Oh. We need to do more of this. We need to put it in an array like that. See if that makes a difference. Well, let's just see. Actually, if we just do provider on, then we'll know that the problem is. Let's see if this works. We'll know the problem is not with my code. So just get rid of this for a moment. So it should be logging the event from this filter. I mean, whenever the next one comes in. Are there any questions so far?
No questions, my friend.
So let's see if an event comes in. So we can compare to this one here. Just wait for a registration event to happen. Let's take a look at the smart contract a little bit more. So you can register, you can reinvest money that you make, apparently. It's nothing better than putting in your Ponzi winnings back into the Ponzi. Send expert dividends. Yeah. I don't really know how this works right now. I didn't look into it yet. All I know is it's Ponzi. Has levels. Let's see if we have any events so far. No, not yet. Yeah, so, well, essentially, this get logs function should return you all of the logs. And once you have all the logs, then you basically have to interpret them. So you have the logs, and then you have to break them down into you have to, when you get the logs back, you basically get log data. So you have to take that log data, and then you have to turn it into information. So it's just going to be an array just full of data. That it's hexadecimal data that includes things like addresses, numbers, words, things like that. And depending on the structure of the event, you just have to write a little script that breaks down all the data into information. Because it'll all come together as a single block, and you just have to break it down. Okay, no events yet. Guess people aren't registering at the moment. Okay, just keep trying to get the logs for a second. I'm not sure why it's not working. It really should work. Log event. Provider.get logs. Filter. Well, how about we just try and get rid of the topic and then see what happens. Get some logs. That way it'll just log all the events no matter what. So I don't know why it doesn't work. Maybe there's too many. What if I just do Yeah, that's odd. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm not sure why the get logs isn't working. Maybe I'm just making a mistake. In which case, I have to go back and correct it afterwards. Contract address. Okay. Not block tag, it says. Okay, let's because it doesn't want that. All right. Processing response error. Yeah, it's just the same thing as last time. Honestly, I have to go back and figure out what happened. I've done this many times before, so I'm not sure what the problem is. Sorry about that. Length. Okay. Well, I did show you how to listen to individual events. So I hope that was useful. Seems like there have been no registrations recently. Yeah, no, there haven't been any registrations recently. Of course, this one's not going to pick it up because it's looking for registrations within this block frame. So yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, well, what I'm going to do to make up for this is I'll get the working code and post it in the Discord. And then we can just add like an addendum or something to the bottom of the video saying this is the tutorial. This is how it actually works. And we'll get you reading the logs. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing when it comes to Ethereum development. Getting the logs can be tricky. I mean, the trick is once you've gotten it working, then it should just work, in theory at least. So you don't have to spend all like once you get it working, it works. But it can be tricky, and when you're reading different events from different smart contracts, you have to change things around. So yeah.
Yeah, it just goes to show, like, even for a veteran like yourself, it can be tricky, and it's you got to debug and look at, find where you make the one little mistake. I have my coding name on GitHub. I got is curly bracket effect, because it's similar to like the butterfly effect. One missing curly bracket or a misplaced period is gonna
Yeah.
is going to have drastic effects. So it's probably something simple like that we're just both missing right now. But it's been great. We got to figure out how to at least listen for events.
Yeah.
And like you said, we'll post the working code once we figure it out in the Discord. But yeah, thank you very much, Antoine, for coming in and doing this great presentation
No
for us.
problem. Thank you.
For the folks that are listening in, it's not too late to sign up for BlockHack. You can take a look at our resource hub, which will have all the links to sign up, as well as to get into our Discord, as well as a bunch of education links that we have in there, and information on the prizes and all that great stuff. So go ahead and check that out. And also give us a follow so that you're keeping up to date with all of the workshops and talks that we're putting out. But again, I'd like to thank you, Antoine, for coming out. We got another amazing set of workshops and talks coming up for you on Wednesday. So take a look at the schedule and sign up for those and look out for those. And until then, I'll see you in the Discord, and I'll see you in the next workshop. Take care, everybody.
See you. Bye.